What's good, LL Nation? The Onora boys are back in the building. It is the Lucky Lefty podcast. We are brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. It is that premium American whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. And if you're going to drink, by all means, make sure that you do so
responsibly.
You have to do it responsibly. It's for the Culture Friday, and we're going to be pleased to have nickel safety for Notre Dame football, Thomas Harper, on the show. Just a little bit later, also during this show, we fully expect Notre Dame there to be an announcement of another transfer coming in. Notre Dame has added to its defensive line room, and hopefully that news will break officially sometime during the show. We can go ahead and start discussing that information. CJ Williams, who reportedly was going to visit Notre Dame, committed to the University of Wisconsin at Madison yesterday. Luke Fickell and the Badgers. So he will not be part of the wide receiver room at Notre Dame. Former Stanford head coach David Shaw interviewing with the Broncos, Left. That's interesting news. Of course, we're going to talk about, you like blitzes? Al Golden loves to blitz, bro. Safety blitz, double fire from the linebackers. So we're going to talk about Notre Dame and a special blitz happening today. But let's start off talking about this NCAA. The NCAA and reached out to our guy Brandon Wimbush. He's down there with his mobile company, the NCAA convention down in Texas, and a lot of regulations and changes coming up to the schedule of recruiting. But one thing that's being talked about is limiting the second transfer, not the first transfer, but the second transfer, because we see a lot of guys in the transfer portal right now that had already transferred to the location they're at currently, and now they're trying to transfer again. So, yeah, bro. What do you think about that? Limiting that second transfer to whereas they would have to sit out a year if they do that.
Well, that's kind of how the high school way it went. If you either sit out a year for transferring, or unless you transfer because of hardship. So it's kind of interesting. But I mean, I think it's still very limiting because you get guys like JT Daniels, who what's wrong with going to four different schools if they all want him?
Mm-hmm.
If he can be serviceable, I think it kind of gives you you get one time and done,
Yeah.
but that's not even how life works. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you get second and third chances, like we see a lot of guys in the NFL and in professional sports get a chance to do. So I think it's interesting that you only get one transfer shot um, because I think stuff happens. My transfer opportunity didn't go as well as it should have. Maybe I could have got a year back and went back into it. So it just depends.
When you look back at that moment when you were making a decision to leave Notre Dame, do you think the culture being different now would have affected your decision back then if it was a similar culture?
Uh, I like to do to what Marcus Freeman has there now.
Well, we know probably if it was Marcus Freeman,
Yeah, I
he
would definitely
probably would have stayed.
100% would have been
Yeah.
there if it was our guy Marcus Freeman from Dayton, Ohio. He probably would have won a championship. First quarterback head coach combination from Dayton to do it. That'd be real nice.
Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, conjunction with CFB Nation, Irish Breakdown. Great content like ourselves, a big bro, John Garcia Jr., State of Recruiting. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. It is now official, so we can jump into it. Former Ohio State defensive end Javontae Jean-Baptiste has decided to transfer to Notre Dame for his final season of college football. Someone that Al Washington is familiar with, someone that multiple people on the staff at Notre Dame with their time in Cincinnati are familiar with when they were recruiting him. He was a 4-star at the time. At the time, he was 6'5", 215. Now he sits at 6'5", 250. Suitable replacement for Justin Adamiola. He comes off the edge as a pass rusher. He had a 16.5 win rate on his pass rushes this year, which is a vast improvement incrementally over what he had done the previous 2 years. The depth along that defensive line of Ohio State is thick, a lot of talent, a lot of incoming talent. So for him to get more snaps and make more of an impact and get a look going to the NFL, this is a solid move not only for Javontae Jean-Baptiste, but it's also a solid move for Notre Dame that's starting to piece together that defensive line that can ultimately support what we expect to be a really good linebacking core and a really good secondary.
Say again, I think it went on.
No, I was just saying it's official. He adds to a defensive line they're really trying to piece together a defensive line to be
Yeah,
solid that can support the linebackers in what we expect to be a very dominant defensive backfield.
we definitely need him to take up space. A lot of those young guys that play in the holes, a lot of those young guys that not take on giant linemen and be free to the tackle. And I think this piece is a good connection to show at Ohio State pipeline. Maybe we get some of the guys because I know they're probably overwhelming with some talent. I don't think this
Hmm.
is a situation like we took a guy off a bench from another team. I think this is more of like the Thomas Harper addition. Guys that were impact players for their team or got time for their team before, made plays, and not a guy that was, in the reserves on the other team. So I think this is a not a step down, but a nice vertical move, you could say. A guy that doesn't have to get his feet wet, but has his he's waist deep and just looking to take a deep dive in to more time and in a better position.
This is something that we talked about left. We're going to continue to talk about it. You add veteran leadership and depth to a defensive line that has a lot of promise, a lot of promise. And we push back on people saying, man, I'm worried about the youth. Well, look, man, I just saw Kirby Smart play a ton of youth in his top two on the depth chart and win a national championship. Right? You get kids in, you believe in them, you feel like they can coach, they can play, and then you coach them up. Brennan Vernon and what he showed down in San Antonio at the All American game. From all reports, by the middle of the season, he should be an impact player along that defensive front. So it's going to be very important that they piece together this defensive front and put together a defensive front to where, once again, we're not talking about Notre Dame giving up 130 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah, I mean that's just if that piece can at least limit it to under 100. I think it's a great piece added, but that's something that needs to be addressed, and we're taking steps. I think to Marcus Freeman to be able to just be on the biggest issues in the off season early shows that he's serious about getting ready and early in the spring and working that rotation by fall camp.
And it also shows another thing. I don't think the Vaughn's kid, the transfer from Utah State, ultimately, I don't think he's going to end up in Notre Dame. Just my opinion. But I really believe that they believe in Josh Burnham, Jordan Botello, and the young Vipers that they have. I really do. And
Yeah,
it's up to Jordan Botello to stay out of trouble, stay out of the coach's doghouse, stay on the field, and do what he did in the Gator Bowl, which is to give you production, especially in passing situations, coming off the edge. As far as Jean-Baptiste, he's the same thing. Pass rush, nickel situations. He might get sprinkled in on some first downs and things like that, but his specialty is getting after the quarterback And that's something Notre Dame is looking for, specifically, if not from the Viper, definitely from the big end that Justin Adamiola played before he left for the NFL draft.
Yeah, it's going to play a big piece, especially when we were 82nd in turnover margin last year. We definitely need to be able to increase the amount of turnovers we're able to have. And that's going to start with having increased pressure on the quarterback. I think adding Thomas Harper is going to add another element in the run game, being able to mix it up with those underneath guys, and also being able to add pressure to that passing game. You want to be able to create more turnovers. I think that would be a goal for the defense next year. 2 years ago, when we played Oklahoma State that year, we were eighth and we dropped all the way to 82nd. So I think that's something that we want to close the gap on. I think these two additions is going to get us there defensively.
Once again, Lucky Lefty Podcast. It has become official. Ohio State transfer, linebacker DN Javontae Jean-Baptiste has joined the Notre Dame program. He'll report like the rest of the squad next week. And Notre Dame adding pieces to that defense and to the defensive line in particular, because they really believe they have a shot with Sam Hartman. And I don't offensively, this is crazy, but I didn't think about it. I think Brian Driscoll mentioned it to me, bro, in the conversation. I didn't realize how many true sophomores they started offensively in the Gator Bowl, right? Both of
Really?
your top linebackers are sophomores. Your two tackles, sophomores. I think Zeke Correll is a junior. And then go look at the wide receivers. Jaden Thomas is a junior, but you got Deion Colsey, sophomore. You got Lorenzo Styles Jr., sophomore. Like they played a lot of young players in that Gator Bowl on offense. And you bring in Sam Hartman and you expect the other skill position players to mature along with the great talent you're bringing in at the skill position in the 2023 recruiting class. We talked about getting up to 38, 40 points per game. They feel like they can do that. They feel really comfortable with that. On top of that, they know their secondary is going to be really good, especially if Cam Hart can stay healthy. We know the talent is there at the linebacker position, but we have to see it, right? The talent's there. We have to see
Yeah,
it.
there's some unproven ability that we know if it is what we think it is, it can be special. They still have to roll out there and play, which is the last piece of the puzzle we want to see. But if that comes together and then Cam Hart gets on his revenge tour and has a better season this year coming up, the addition of a Thomas Harper, the experience that Ben Morrison has coming in and Ryan Barnes, I think it's just going to be really special and speak to how effective we can be on defense on a dominant level going into a schedule where I think we should be favored in most of these games that we have on the schedule, even Ohio State game.
So it's amazing as we talk about the transfer of Javontae Jean-Baptiste and how it improves the defensive line. There's some other areas that Notre Dame is looking to improve in, and the entire coaching staff is on a blitz today, Left. They're on a
Uh,
recruiting blitz. Came out, they posted it on social media earlier this morning. They're blitzing the entire state of Indiana, and then they're putting a full court press blitz on the city of Chicago.
yeah, here we go.
Hmm.
Some people in Chicago we should talk to.
They went to see CJ Carr first. We're going to break down film later in the show. There was an offer that has already come out. Dylan McCullough was over at one of the best programs, best schools, private Catholic schools in the Chicagoland area, the Mount Carmel Caravan. They're coming off of state championship, and their four-star running back that was present at the Irish invasion, Darian Dupree, tweeted out 10 minutes ago that he was pleased to have received an offer from the University of Notre Dame. They will also go on to see Justin Scott over at St. Ignatius. They'll stop in on Cam Williams, and they'll also stop in on Marquise Lightfoot over in Hyde Park at Kenwood High School to check in on him. Also, Mike Mickens is going to be at Southside Schools, and then you're going to have Al Golden at Simeon High School to check in on him. Also, Mike Mickens is going to be at Southside Schools, and then you're going to have Al Golden at Simeon High School to check in on him. Also, Mike Mickens is going to be at Southside Schools, and then you're going to have Al Golden at Simeon High School checking on guys from the 24 class and the 25 class. The staff understands the importance and putting a stranglehold on the city of Chicago and the home state of Indiana. What's your thoughts on that, Left?
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to have a strong presence in your quote unquote home state, and
Mm-hmm.
or just the proximity that needs to be heavy Notre Dame influenced. And you want to be able to show not only that, but the fans locally that we still have a stronghold at home, and that you can be proud of your boys and come uh, recruits that come up through it can see that those pipelines to Notre Dame are still strong in the state of Indiana. Getting guys like Drake Bowen, who's a top prospect in Indiana, is a good staple to have. It's great for recruitment to be able to be strong locally. I think
Mm-hmm.
where Ohio State has gone wrong in some of these games, especially when playing Michigan, is that they stop recruiting for the Big Ten play. You still got to be able to match up with the linemen and match up with the style of play in the conference. I think Ohio State kind of got outside that realm when they recruited nationally and didn't get enough guys that can stick home. And I think for us, being that we're quasi, local, being that we have our own zip code, which is interesting, and not being in the conference, I think we've been able to still keep a good amount of the right guys that can play in the conditions that we live in South Bend and Indiana, and having guys that can stick in the trenches, especially be able to play in all types of conditions. I think that's something that you gain acclimation to as you play at Notre Dame through the years, being able to play in different environments because it matters and it means a lot when you get late into the season when we're a team that's a sort of cold weather team and playing teams that are in the hotter regions or even the colder regions. It doesn't change up for us, so it's interesting, but it's definitely needs to be a staple that we are locally strong in recruiting.
So once again, Lucky Lefty Podcast, the Chicago Blitz is on. Notre Dame right now, as we speak, is in the city of Chicago being represented. They also went to check in on 2024 five-star quarterback CJ Carr. I say five-star because he's five-star to me. I think he'll eventually get that star. And they just gave an offer to Mount Carmel's own out of Chicago, Darian Dupree, who was at the Irish invasion left. So let's go ahead, and talk about this kid. This kid is about, man, 6 feet. If you stand next to him, maybe he grows, because I remember when I first saw him as a true freshman, he was about 5'10, 5'11. But he is really, man, this is a young man that has really put in time in the weight room. Because he used to be a stick left. I'm talking about a stick. And now it's like, yo, this kid, you can tell he's putting in the work. He didn't get the offer at the Irish invasion. But I think what we're seeing now from this young man, he's going to be a stud. You look at this first clip right here, it just shows his power, flexibility, and then he gets the speed after breaking tackles at the line of scrimmage. He got injured in the playoffs left, so he wasn't able to finish the season, but he was the bell cow. I remember specifically going to the game that they had against Justice Scott and St. Rita, and he dominated the first half. Not only on the ground, but he dominated catching the ball out of the backfield. Like I said, he was skinny. You look at his body type now, you can tell he's been in the weight room. He's put on weight. This man has great elusiveness, stop, start, powerful runner. And if he gets out in the open, he might not be a 4-2 guy left, but he can definitely leave you in the dust. He has good football speed, good game speed.
Yeah, I really, really like this guy. I just love the way he plays the game. You can tell he has great football instinct. You can tell that he didn't grow up at a trainer his whole life. He actually went outside and played with the boys and, play scramble a lot, throw him up, hit him up a lot. The way he's able to just be very natural in the way he runs the football. I think when you get guys like this, they're special players because no matter what level, they have a certain level of football skill where they can do things that they're not training all day at a trainer or told on how to do. So a lot of that natural football ability, I think, is going to stand out at the next level for him. And you see that, like you said, may not be a 4-2 guy. and run track with the best of them. But when it comes to a football speed, an acceleration, an explosion, or a burst, when you're running and being an impactful player, I think he's got those elements, and it'd be a great addition to a running back room where he'll be a lot more versatile and shifty than a Logan Diggs and a estimate, even a Jadarian Price. I think Jadarian Price is more of a supercharged up luxury car to where it's fast and sturdy, but it's not as shifty. I think you get a guy that has the right amount of speed to be dynamic. Maybe not a burner, but he's a guy that's going to be a playmaker for you. And can play everywhere. He's got a good size like Debo Samuels. He can play some receiver. He can definitely play running the football in between the tackles a little bit, but this is a guy you got to get the ball in your hands, sort of how I envision they're going to use a Rico Flores, but he's even more impactful because he can be more of a running back than a pass catcher, but he can do it all. A great player to add. Once again, you're getting a guy recruited by Marcus Freeman that can do more than one thing. And I think at this point in our recruitment, what's making us different is guys that we get similar to Xavier Watts can play many things, and you never know where they can come in handy during the season. This seems like a kid that can be on the field now, just because like a lot of like Brandon Hillman, you can't really recruit intangibles that this kid shows on a natural football instinct. I think Marcus Freeman is having a good eye in recruitment of his players for guys that have a natural football feel to him, not a guy that's a straight line speed like or a guy that has been in all the hypest camps and all that stuff. I think he's really gotten his bag and recruiting guys that are very versatile, but can do a lot of special things and have special qualities that will show when they get to campus and around other competitive guys.
And I love him left because he's faster than he looks. He
Yep.
runs harder than you think he would run, and he's more powerful than you think he is, and he's shiftier than you think. He's just a football player, man.
Yeah.
It's just like you can put him out, you can put him in a slot, you can detach him, you can attach him to the end of the line. Great route runner, special teams value in the return game. And like I said, I've watched him literally dominate games, multifaceted running back. You can call him running back slash wide receiver, Darian Dupree, 4-star out of Chicago, Mount Carmel. So left, look, they continue to add talent to this 24 class. The offense is going to be off the chain. The offensive recruiting in this class is bananas. Absolutely bananas. And Darian Dupree adds to that. He tweeted out just about 10 minutes ago that he was happy to receive an offer from the University of Notre Dame. Chicago's very important when it comes to recruiting at Notre Dame. We had Corey Mays on yesterday, and there was a 20-year gap in between his commitment and the commitment of one Chris Zorich when it came to public schools in the city of Chicago. And the talent continues to grow. Like I said, he's from Morgan Park. I went to Morgan Park. Linebacker Javon Clark is another 4-star. He loves Notre Dame. Absolutely loves Notre Dame. Marquise Lightfoot over at Kenwood, another public school, has a great relationship with Coach Washington. Say he talks to Coach Washington all the time. They're checking in on him. It's just really great to wake up to the news that the staff is taking not only the home state seriously, but taking the city of Chicago seriously and the amount of talent that's there on an annual basis.
Yeah, it might be an under recruited area, but Marcus Freeman is not passing up on the area either. I think he's, catching some basketball games while he's down there too, because I'm sure most of them playing basketball during this time anyway. So
Friday
I
night
think
is
he,
Chicago Catholic
from a
League
Midwest standpoint,
basketball.
yeah, and from a Midwest standpoint, most guys are playing basketball during this time just because, the weather. But I think one thing that Marcus Freeman has learned from Ohio State is that how important local recruiting is, even though you're a national recruiting type of team.
Hmm.
And just another lesson from Tressel, I think he learned, and how important it is to not only the team chemistry, but the fan and everybody that comes to watch the games and the families included on how comfortable things are when you have some hometown guys. So there's a lot of ties to Chicago. I think, he filled his Chicago quota, got the Indiana quota, and I think he's just continuing building um, a strong unit. Defense was the focus this year, trying to get a Keon, you got a Don Shula, you got some high powered defensive guys, a Drake Bowen in there. And this year, you 24, you're going offense and going hard with
Yeah,
the receivers and the type of talent that we're going after. Hopefully, we can seal the deal on at the end.
yeah. Lucky Lefty podcast. Thomas Harper, nickel safety, is going to join us shortly. And we're talking about Notre Dame doing a Chicago and Indiana blitz as a staff on today, going out there, really making sure that they plant the flag for Notre Dame in the home state and in the big city of Chicago. It's just about an hour and a half away with annual talent, just a boatload of annual talent. I know for sure Mike Mickens came up over the summer to check on a lot of kids that were over there at Kenwood, where Marquise Lightfoot is. And Kenwood has come out of nowhere left in the city of Chicago, I would say. Q Turner has done an incredible job with that program as a head coach. I think on signing day they had somewhere near 10 guys sitting there
Mm.
signing uh, and declaring their commitments, led by Khalil Tate, which is someone that Mike Mickens checked in on. And, he ended up going to Iowa, which is a great place because they produce defensive backs. So I'm glad he got to go to a big time program. But Cam Williams is a fast riser in the 24 class. At the end of the day, Cam Williams is going to end up being, in my opinion, a top 100 player. Justin Scott, 5-star defensive tackle out of St. Ignatius, 6'5", 315. Watched him the other night get down in the defensive stance, the bend of the knee, the power to get double doubles each and every game. That's what he's doing, controlling and patrolling the paint defensively, offensively. He put up a double double right there in front of me. They were playing Montini Catholic, smaller team that runs a motion offense, had him out on the perimeter trying to get lanes to the bucket. He's down on the defensive stand, 6'5", 315. And I'm
Yeah,
sitting there like, yo, this is bananas. Like,
yeah,
no one can get a driving lane on this big dude. So this is the type of talent that's there for the taking for Notre Dame. If they feel like, well, with Justin Scott or Marquise Lightfoot or Cam Williams, it's not a matter of fit. Those are guys that you just go get. Like, just go get them.
that's right. That's right. And I think it's a perfect match for his versatility and being able to add to a room that he can be useful in. I think a lot of times when you talk about fit, his frame and his stature already will stand out in a room
Hmm.
that we're trying to add size and stature to.
Yeah,
So I think Marcus Freeman and Al Washington probably expressing that to him, like, look, big fella, you a big fella.
yeah,
We got a bunch of, men's health magazine guys in our room right now. We need something that's still athletic because you can keep up with them, but you had a bigger frame. So, Midwest, we got guys like that. We may not have the freakiest of athletes like a Jadavion Clowney, but we got some heavyweights as well, especially from the size, like a Cameron Hayward type of player.
yeah. Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. Great content. We cover for college football and talk NFL, culture, and everything else. Nobody does it better. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. You already know. We spin it different. Just moments away from new Notre Dame nickel safety Thomas Harper joining the show. And before we get to that, Left, let me ask you a simple question, and we can dive into it on the backside of Thomas Harper. Is the gap closer when it comes to Georgia and everybody else in college football, or has Georgia kind of widened the gap similar to the way Alabama had it at their peak?
We haven't seen nothing like this Georgia consistency with overwhelming depth and the talent and the numbers that they've been able to put up. Even when Alabama was at its highest, they wasn't putting up the offensive numbers as well to match, where you're in the 40, 50, 60 range in championship games. So I think this is just the new version of what a dynasty looks like, even though I think these are shorter lived type of dynasties. I just think it's way too hot to last Alabama longevity type of thing. But I think Georgia, this could be what you could consider the peak of a lasting future for Kirby Smart in Athens. I don't think he'll get, if you even could, get much better than an undefeated season coming off of a championship season where you have 15 drafted guys that are playing well in the league right now.
Yeah,
To come back and go undefeated and win it again, it's probably the peak of your line or run at Georgia, but maybe not. I think Notre Dame stock is rising, so that's something they should be worried about. But from their perspective, I mean, how can you keep it up? You can only get the newest facilities so many years. You can only, you know, considerably have the bag. That's the attractive piece is going to be something else that becomes an attractive piece in the coming future with the rule changes and how
yeah,
things go. So, and then on top of that, you're losing coaches around you that better opportunities for themselves. So that's something that you got to battle with. I think Brian Kelly hadn't experienced that in the 2012 season and had to damn near do it again in 2016, getting a whole new crew.
right.
Just shows that, it can be good and bad. You can be sorry as hell where you lose all your staff, or you can be really good and lose all your staff. So that definitely plays an effect. Like, how many more years is Todd Monken, after scoring 63 in the national championship game, want to be an OC at Georgia? Maybe he takes a stab at something bigger. So these are all things considered. I think you're seeing Alabama in the many phases and changes they've had and been able to still stay relevant and stay dominant. But even them, I think they made a big mistake bringing Bill O'Reilly back, but I'm bringing Bill O'Brien back, but that's why he's not going to be there next year. And but you got to stay hot on that end too. Got to get the flyest and freshest O and DCs out there. So it's a lot that goes into staying dominant for a long time.
Yeah, I think about it, and we'll dig into it once Thomas Harper joins us and we finish with his interview. We're going to dig into it because I heard some interesting comments from Joe Klatt on Georgia and how they took advantage of college football and what everyone else was doing and went in a different direction, right? They won back-to-back championships, left, and probably lost three of the four top players in their state in recruiting.
Mm,
And because of what they want to do, it really doesn't impact them.
mm,
Like Justice Haynes went to Alabama, and the truth of the matter is, you talk to people close to the Georgia program, they really didn't make a push for him, and that sounds crazy, right? But Kirby has a plan, and he's not caught on stars. Like, this is the culture. We're gonna find fits, and we're gonna dig into it. Like, teams that get caught up in trying to get 5 stars, right? And I'm not here to debate whether or not you need 5 stars to win. And of course, you get the better players, it increases the chances of you winning a national championship. But let me tell you, when was the last time you heard Georgia really battling for the top overall quarterback or a 5 star quarterback, right? So that's cool. That gives you an idea of what we're going to dive into on the other side. Lucky Lefty Podcast. CFB Nation, YouTube channel. Follow us. Hit that like button. Hit the notification bell so every time we go live, you'll be able to tap in with us. It is our indeed pleasure right now at this time. Notre Dame continuing to be aggressive in the transfer portal. They add defensive end linebacker Javontae Jean-Baptiste transfer from Ohio State to the fold this morning. And now we are pleased to have one of the newest members of the secondary, That's right. A secondary that was all already pretty good. When you have the likes of Cam Hart, Benjamin Morris, and Jaden Mickey, and the safeties, Xavier Watts, Ramon Henderson on the back end. Now they add nickel safety. Thomas Harper transferred in from Oklahoma State, and he joins us here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Thomas, how you doing, man? Can you hear us, Thomas?
Oh, these. At least we got them. Got some technical difficulties.
Got technical difficulties. Let's see. Go ahead, Left. Just continue to talk about that, and I'll try to make sure we get him set up.
Yeah, so I do believe that, for us, what is going to be huge is not only securing locally the talent, but having a plan. I think Marcus Freeman's vision that he spoke about going into the fall camp of last year was the vision that we have of being a physical football team. We're going to run the football, we're going to stop the run. I think those are the type of players that he's looking to recruit. I mean, he's got a full class locked and loaded of linebackers coming into with Drake Bowen, but also on campus right now with Tulamaka and Jalen Sneed and Nolan Ziegler. I think he's establishing the identity that he wants to have. So are we going to get the top linebacker in Indiana? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the number one fit that he's looking to build. And what did he do? Get the number one linebacker locally in Indiana. It means someone on the home front, but also shows that he's sticking to the plan. Are we looking to get the fastest, speediest edge rusher in the world? Maybe not. But we get a guy like Jean-Baptiste to where he's definitely sturdy on that front line, looking to hold down the fort, but also make huge plays and rushing the passer, but stopping the run. And then you look at guys that he recruited in Justin Scott. We talked about earlier. We said all the time we need to be dominant and fierce with guys that are physically available to be on the field. That's a nasty guy, 300 plus. And what is he going to do? Get a 6'6" Justin Scott from Chicago to try to get interest. And the best part is he's local. That should be a slam dunk. Notre Dame's influence locally and in the Midwest should be its strongest because of where it is geographically. And a guy like Justin Scott, who sees Notre Dame, knows what it is, should be excited about it.
All right. Now, newest addition to the secondary for the Fighting Irish, Thomas Harper, joins us on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Thomas, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How y'all doing?
Good. Shaun Davis, the Lucky Lefty himself, Malik Zaire. So let's jump right into it. Your time, it's been a mass exodus of sorts at the Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the defensive coordinator taking his sabbatical was pretty much one of the indicators that this might be coming within that program. But for you personally, hopefully, we hope you're blessed and healthy after your injuries during the year. Tell us about your health and your injuries, and then what ultimately led you to enter into the portal.
Okay, so I want to say the fourth game versus Baylor, pretty much I kind of felt my shoulder. It was kind of messing with me a little bit. I continued to play, but I guess it's kind of like I'm answering both questions at once. But so I mean, after that, during the year, I mean, it was already kind of some weird things happening within like Oklahoma State and all that. I don't want to necessarily get into all the details, but I mean, I kind of sensed it, and my mind was kind of already made. Like it was just a little weird feeling. And then, I mean, yeah, I just really wanted to get healthy. I kind of knew my plans for after the year, so I think I played in 7 or 8 games, and then after that, the last game, I wanted to get my shoulder right and just I knew my plan, so I just wanted to get healthy and make sure that I got the best type of treatment for it.
So how's the shoulder right now? You good to go going into training once you enroll in Notre Dame and get to going?
Right. Yeah, I'm good. Right.
Now, how much? So 35 games under your belt is a lot of experience, a lot of play time. And what is that like for you going into an environment of Notre Dame where it's not so much of a conference, but it's a different level of competition.
I mean, it's exciting for me, to be honest with you. Being that, I mean, my previous 4 years was all in the Big 12. I mean, it's exciting to play some new competition. And I mean, it's really just exciting. That's another thing that kind of attracted me to Notre Dame as well. Just the schedule that they have. I mean, that we have, I should say. I mean, it's everywhere. It's Pac-12, Big 10, ACC. So I mean, you really can't ask for a more complete schedule than I mean what we have here at Notre Dame.
So
how much of the game, I gotta
Lefty.
ask, how much of the game did you talk to Marcus Freeman about during your recruitment when you played against us in the bowl game? How much did that come up?
It came up a little bit. He brought it up a little bit, but I mean, it really wasn't that much. But like I said, it was funny. It was funny when he brought it up, and we had some good laughs.
Now,
Yeah.
what did you think about Notre Dame during that game when you played this? Was it a different level of preparation? Were you excited, or was it just like we finna blow these Catholic guys out?
Right. What was the game plan? Like, when you guys went in at halftime? What happened? Because it seems
Yeah,
like
what happened? 'Cause we
defensively,
thought we was gonna dub Oklahoma State.
right. And then you guys came out in the second half, and it was just like, man, this is a totally different defense.
So I actually didn't play in the game, but obviously I went. I was in the meetings, pregame, all that, and I mean, going into the game, I mean, we knew as far as defensively wise, we knew that y'all had a good tight end that I mean, one of the best in the nation. That's what our coach said, and I mean, that's how he played. So we was really worried about trying to take the ball out of his hands and forcing it to stopping the run and just forcing it to be a passing game, kind of. So I mean, that's kind of what.
So that's the question. What was the conversation about the quarterback of our team during that time? Were y'all worried and thinking, man, we let him go crazy, it's gonna be tough for us?
Of course. Like I said, y'all, I feel like y'all had some really good pieces that and some really good players where if you let them get high or let them get going, then I mean it's gonna be a long game. So we definitely had. I don't think y'all running back played.
Right.
We thought he was gonna be playing, so he didn't play. So we didn't really know too much about the other running back. I mean, we knew he was good, but we didn't think he was gonna be what y'all running back one was. So we really just was. I mean, the game plan was really just stop the run and don't let the tight end get hot. That's really what the game plan was. And I mean, y'all got out on this early, so I mean, we at halftime we thinking. I mean, we're not giving up, but we just don't know. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we ended up getting the job done. So
yeah,
Spencer Sanders turned up on us.
Yeah, and he definitely Spencer did turn up in the second half.
Yeah, Spencer, he's a good player.
You didn't get a chance to talk to him and be like, hey, what you think about Notre Dame? Or did they not recruit him? Because we don't really know too much if they even recruited him.
I literally just talked to him like a week ago, but he said I think they talked to him earlier or something like that. But I didn't really get into all the details, but yeah, nah.
We didn't think he tried. We didn't even think us as a program tried to reach out, but I'm glad we at least attempted.
Right. Yeah, Spencer good. Yeah, Spencer's nice. He's nice.
So nickel safety combination. I watched your film against TCU. It was just in the national championship game. You had a pick in that game. Your cover skills. Like, how would you characterize yourself if you were trying to describe to our Fighting Irish fans, this is the type of player you're getting at the nickel safety?
I would characterize myself as first and foremost a competitor. I mean, I'm gonna compete regardless who I'm playing. If I feel like the competition is lower or regardless, I'm gonna compete. I'm gonna do my best every time, and I mean, really just a selfless guy that's gonna do everything for the team. I know a lot of people say that, but I mean, if they need me to play nickel this game, I can play nickel. If they need me to play safety, I can play safety. Wherever I need to fit in to allow the team give the team the best opportunity to win and be successful. I mean, that's honestly what I'm gonna do. So,
is that the plan that they talked to you about when they were recruiting you? That pretty much come in and wherever we need you, we want you to be able to play and do that and use your versatility.
Right. Exactly. Obviously, like you said, like you mentioned, nickel and safety, just between those two, I mean, really just get in where I fit in and I mean, wherever I'm needed.
Now, see, this is going to tell us a
Was it
lot,
more?
Left. Hold on. This is going to tell us a lot before you get to that question. What gives you the better feeling, the interception or the big hit?
It's got to be the big hit because he don't got a lot of picks now.
No, but
That's
I'm
a
not.
good question.
I watch his film, and he likes to stick his nose in around that line of scrimmage,
Yeah, that's
Left.
right. That's
Even though
right.
he's nickel safety. That's why I asked the question.
Honestly, I would have to say probably as much as I like the hit, I would say I would definitely say a big hit. Just because I mean interception is cool and like I don't know, but a big hit, it just bring that energy. It just bring that I don't know, that swagger. So I mean, probably a big hit.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Left.
And was it the defense that pulled you to Notre Dame and how you saw yourself in Al Golden's defense, or was it it's Notre Dame? Like that's if I want to go to the league, I know playing well there can definitely put me on spotlight to get there.
That's a good question. I think it was a little bit of both, to be honest. Obviously, my first thought was it's Notre Dame. Like I know I'm gonna be on a big stage. I know everything that I'm looking for as far as exposure and all that. Like I know I'm gonna have it. So I mean that definitely went into it. But obviously, I mean I had a few options, so I just wanted to make sure it was the right decision. So I dug a little deeper, did my research, and I mean learning about the defense and how the system and all that, and how they use the safety and the nickel. I mean that definitely drew me in even more and kind of just solidified it for me.
Did you tap into the Gator Bowl?
I'm sorry.
Like when you were going through your process, did you get a chance to watch the Gator Bowl when
Versus
Notre
South
Dame played?
Carolina?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I watched it.
What are your thoughts about the defense? It seemed early on South Carolina got things going, and then it seemed like the defense kind of put the clamps on them in the
Yeah,
second half.
I think South Carolina early on they just kind of had. I mean, they had a lot of stuff scripted. They had the little tight end leaking out. I mean, stuff like that, like little small eye violation stuff. Nothing really too serious about them just eating at the defense or exposing the defense. You know, more so just eye violations, little stuff like that. So, I mean, I liked what I seen. Honestly, I feel like it's a lot of pieces that y'all already have that I mean, just make y'all a threat already, and that was super attractive to me as well. Just being on a winning team and not going somewhere where they don't really have a culture set in stone yet. Like, you know, y'all already have a culture, y'all already have a good team, and I mean, I think y'all would agree just as much as I would agree that I mean, it's a lot of people coming back and I mean, I feel like we can make a postseason run for sure. We just got to do what we got to do, but that was really attractive to me as well.
Now you had an opportunity to play on a team that was very, very veteran on the defense 2 years ago, and then coming to a team now that's considered a little young at Notre Dame. What's been your experiences on having a team that was veteran and playing on that, and then possibly playing on a team that's a lot more younger in experience, and how your role fits in there?
I think gives me an opportunity to really step into more of a leadership role and be a leader and just help my teammates as much as I can. Being that I kind of been, like you said, I kind of been on both sides of the spectrum, on a young team, an old team, and I can say that on the older team, 2 years ago, the Oklahoma State team, I mean, it was just a lot of like, it was player led, you know.
Y'all was a top defense at the time, and
right.
I mean, was holding a lot of records and numbers in the conference and in the country. What was like? You said it was a players. Was it that's what made it special? Where y'all all knew together. Okay, we nice all together. Then it was on the younger team where y'all like, well, we trying to figure this. Are y'all good for real? We trying to see.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely more of a player led team. In the seniors. I mean, we just had definitely, at least on the defense for sure. I mean, we just had so many leaders and they led by example. You know, it wasn't necessarily just say whatever, or, you know, it was by example, you know, practice early AM, they giving 100%. So we looking at them like, if our best player is going to give 100%, like we got to do the same, you know? So I just feel like that definitely was a difference. And just being on a younger team, I mean, obviously we still gave 100%. And I feel like I was a leader as well. I mean, I didn't finish out the season, so it's hard to, you know, lead by example when you're not necessarily in the fire anymore, you know? But I mean, being on a younger team is just kind of more
a little looser. It's like
exactly a little looser. Everybody looking at everybody, you know, nobody really showing the way or leading necessarily by example as far as it was in 2021, I think, or 2022. So
Thomas Harper, newest addition to the defensive backfield for Notre Dame, nickel safety right here, Lucky Lefty Podcast, the Onora boys, Shaun Davis, Malik, Zaire. Just a couple of more minutes with Thomas Harper. So, Thomas, we like to help out all the transfers. We talked to Caleb Smith, and we asked him what his palate was coming to a new city. And so we want to help you out as well. What's your palate like? Because we want to tell you where to go to get some good grub.
I mean, I'm not too picky, really, honestly. I'm open. Like, say, on my visit, I tried like two new things that I've never had before. So
what did you try?
Yeah, what did you try? Wait, what's the training table like at Oklahoma State? Was it like always barbecue? Because y'all always out. Y'all just eating ribs and stuff every day.
Nah, that was pretty good with mixing it up. It was a lot of barbecue. We had, rice, steak and rice. The usual. It wasn't anything crazy, but they did a good job of mixing it up.
So how you feel about sushi? Because you might get that a couple times. They might throw some sushi at training table or some stuff.
Right. No, I like sushi. My brother's like a big sushi like connoisseur. Like, he loves sushi, so he kind of got me into sushi a little bit. But I'm not crazy about it, but at the same time, I haven't really tried a lot to really give a good answer about me and sushi. But I'm definitely open to having sushi and all that.
Well, if you ever want to cook and try new recipes, just follow Malik on social media. He posts recipes all day, crazy recipes. But Left, go ahead and give him the South Bend tour of cuisine and where he should go.
Man, look, you gotta, if you like your Chinese food, you gotta go to Wuchi's.
You said Wuchi's?
Wuchi's. They got a big old sign. You can't miss it. It's downtown. You go there. If you want some soul food, you gotta go to Angel Soul Food. Is like right off the highway. It's a little ways away, but I'm sure you're gonna have some whip. You're gonna have a whip or something. They used to have, and then you got Eddie Street. They got some new restaurants. You're gonna get your Chipotle's and your Five Guys and all that. But you really want to get the city classics.
Right.
Maybe go to the west side of South Bend a couple of times. They got some good spots over there. But what else? What would you say? You gotta go to Frankie's. Get you some classic barbecue. Go to JJ's Chicken and Fish. Y'all probably had JJ's out there, but JJ's got some good chicken and fish. Get the 10 wing lemon pepper. You know what I'm saying? You got to get double fries, no coleslaw. That you know the order.
Yeah. I don't like coleslaw. I don't really do the coleslaw like that.
And coleslaw always gets left out, right?
Always
just stay in the bag. No need.
Always.
And then for breakfast, you got to hit the original Pancake House. We got a couple now. There's a difference. There's the original Pancake House, and then there's the American Pancake House. You got to be careful. The American one, you get a better discount. You feel me? Yeah. The original one's more like your mom and pop. Right. See how they try to trick you. See how they try to get you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you want to get lunch, you got to go to Penn Station. I don't know if you heard of Penn Station.
Great sub sandwiches.
Hey, you like a Philly cheesesteak in South Bend?
I'm gonna have to try that.
Gotta go.
What was the soul food place you said?
Angels.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that.
Definitely gotta get the Angels.
Thomas wrote that one down. He was like, "Yeah, Angels. I'm gonna have to get
try that one for sure."
So, Thomas, we appreciate you joining us, man. And once again, have a great off-season weight training with Matt Bayless and the rest of the staff going into. Look forward to meeting you, in the spring when it's time for the first practices. And just stay in health, stay blessed. And he's from Knoxville, Left. So we have to get this on the way out. He's from Knoxville.
Right?
Knoxville kid. Yeah, so it's like, in between Atlanta and Memphis. Right. So like I want to know, like, with the passing of Gangsta Boo recently, like, is he more of a Memphis dude to the culture when it comes to music? Or is he leaning more to like maybe VA or Atlanta? Yeah, it's interesting with him being in Knoxville.
No, I'm definitely. I like both. Let me just say that, but I'm definitely more Atlanta type of dude.
Okay.
I like the Atlanta rappers. I like Lil Baby. I like all
So
that
what's
Atlanta.
your take on Gunner? Did Gunner mess up, man? Is he a
Look,
snitch, man?
look at him. Look at him. You look.
That's the
It's a
question
topic-
everybody trying to
topic of
figure out.
conversation.
I think it really just depends on what you consider or like what's your definition of of a snitch, I guess, per se. So
See, everybody
I
got
mean,
their own definition. That's the problem.
exactly. So I mean, me personally, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the situation. I'm not in his shoes.
Yeah, we not street
I don't know
dudes.
if
So we got an outside perspective.
right. I wouldn't say I would have did what he did, but I mean, at the same time, I'm not knocking him. I don't know the situation, so I don't really want to,
Hey, nobody want to sit in jail. That's the situation.
I know one thing. I would not have gone on IG trying to talk for Thugger.
I seen that.
Yeah, they shut him down. His people shut him down real quick. Thomas Harper, newest addition to the defensive backfield, nickel safety for Notre Dame, right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. As we said, continued success, eternal blessings and favor in all your endeavors, and we can't wait to see you get on the field, man. We appreciate you for joining us.
Man, thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely.
Always, brother.
All right, Thomas Harper joining us right here on the Lucky Lefty podcast. Good dude, man. Good dude. I loved his breakdown on what South Carolina was doing in the Gator Bowl and how excited he is to be part of this defense.
Yeah, especially, I thought it was a good response when we asked him, is it about fit or is it about Notre Dame? A lot of times, if Notre Dame calls, it's hard to just not look at it from it's Notre Dame. Are you looking at it from a fit perspective? Are you looking at it from how you can really make plays and help the team, not the team just helping you?
Man. Whew, that's a great interview, Left. And the more I watch this film and the more I listen to him, I think he's going to be a big-time addition.
Yeah.
An already pretty good defensive backfield.
I agree.
Lucky Lefty podcast. So let's talk about it, Left. Joe Klatt was on with Colin Cowherd. And he said, notice how when everybody was clamoring because of the evolution of football and teams passing the ball more, it's amazing how everybody was clamoring or trying to get all the top quarterbacks. We said Kirby went in a different direction. Kirby was more concerned with roster building and building a team that legitimately went 3 deep at every position with really good players. Not so much the great players. Don't get me wrong. He said they have great players at Georgia, but they have a lot more really good players than everybody else. And they don't have a huge drop-off when they bring in their second string. He said, look at what happened to TCU with their starters when the second string defenders came in for Georgia. Yeah. The game didn't change. Kirby Smart has found a way in the last 5 years to go opposite of football, where everybody tries to get the quarterback to elevate everyone else, trying to copy off Clemson and what they were able to do with Deshaun and Trevor Lawrence, and spitting right in the face of that was Kirby Smart in Georgia. And they just went and got really good players at every position and didn't really worry about the quarterback position. He said you had Justin Fields transfer out to go to a place like Ohio State because they wanted Jake Fromm over him. And you look at the Caleb Downs, Justice Haynes, and the running back that Notre Dame was in on, I forget his name. The young man that came up and rode in the car with Coach Freeman, Richard Young. Richard Young being a Florida kid, but right there close to Georgia. He said all of those big-time kids, Georgia really didn't even push for. He said, why? Because go watch the national championship game. The 5th running back on their roster comes in, and he looks really good. Like roster building versus just going and getting stars. That's what Kirby was more concerned about. And that's why he felt Georgia is out in front of everybody else in college football.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got his recruiting formula down pat. And I think, like Earl Nightingale always said, if you go against the trends, you'll end up being a millionaire. And he's found his fortune in not going with the trends. He's definitely recruited at a high level to where he's got guys that want to stay. And to be on a team that everybody's having success is hard to for the ego of some guys who aren't playing and want to stay, but he's found a way to, replace the talent that, was as hard to beat before with talent that's, I'm not going to say better, but just as effective, if not more effective from the standpoint they went undefeated and won championships. So I think what he's doing is great, and now it's just a battle of nutrition and how teams are going to copy that and catch up and their others. So we'll see how it goes.
In my opinion, let's take it. Let's say Ohio State played TCU or they played Ohio State, because I think the argument is the same. I think you would say, wouldn't you say if Ohio State and TCU played, you would have to think about who you would take in that game, right? As disrespectful as people have been towards TCU, if TCU is totally healthy with Kendre Miller and has their running game, I would say they would keep it close with Ohio State because of what I've seen from Michigan up against Ohio State, being able to be physical and have an impact on all of that talent. I'm not saying they would beat Ohio State, but I think it would be a competitive game. If Georgia played TCU 5 times, Georgia would win that game 5 times.
Yes.
And they would cover the spread, in my
They would
opinion.
probably win it 6 times just because they beat them so bad. The points carry over to another game.
I think Georgia would probably cover the spread at minimum 4 to 5 times.
Agreed.
Right? The styles make fights, Left. We talk about this all the time. That TCU is just not a good matchup for Georgia, bro. Right? Because maybe people looked at Michigan and said, well, Georgia's a physical team just like Michigan, and they like to push you around. Georgia uses their physicality a little bit differently. Like, because Georgia can go past crazy on you and light you up. They got the tight ends to do it. Lad McConkey was getting busy on a bad MCL against TCU.
Getting busy.
Right? And that's against the Thorpe winner. Right? They had Tomlinson back there. Everybody thought he was going to be able to take away a receiver from Georgia. It didn't matter because they have so many weapons. And the way Todd Monken deploys the weapons out of similar formations, but like Thomas Harper said, they give you a lot of eye candy. A lot of eye candy. And with that eye candy, they can be physical. They can run the ball when they need to. And then they can get the big chunk plays. And this is crazy because Notre Dame fans should know this. Georgia gets their big chunk plays with their tight end. Like, third down, 3rd and 13, tight end over the middle. Right?
Yeah.
Here's Brock
Easy.
Bowers here's Brock Bowers on the wheel route. Here's
Easy.
Brock Bowers on the jet sweep.
And these guys are chasing every time. It's not like these guys are like arm in arm. These guys are chasing.
You muted your mic, Left. Oh. Well, yeah. He was talking about Brock Bowers and how Notre Dame is chasing. I mean, not Notre Dame, but teams are chasing your tight end in coverage. And there's just so many different, the diversity of weapons that they have. That's building a roster. That's building an offense, right? Having a diversity of weapons. And that's why a lot of people, myself included, CJ Williams, okay, if you want to add the talent to the wide receiver room, fine. But what diversity does he bring to the wide receiver room and to the offense, right? The running backs work so well together because Aldrich Esme and Logan Diggs are like the perfect complement to each other, right? Lorenzo Styles Jr. gives you something different than Deion Colzie, gives you something different than Jaden Thomas. And hopefully the youngsters coming in, I do see variety. Braylon James gives you something different than Greathouse. Rico gives you something totally different than both of those guys. Caleb Smith coming in from Frisco, Texas, gives you so much value in the return game, gives you so much value in the quick screen game. that you bring in a class of wide receivers, four-person class of wide receivers, then you add the veteran transfer from Virginia Tech, Caleb Smith, in big body. He used to going up and getting 50-50 balls, being tough over the middle. That's who he is. He told us
Yep.
when he joined us, he wants to be a Bolitnikov finalist and he wants attempts. And you have a veteran guy, and he came here to be able to run more routes and play different positions in the wide receiver room. So he has flexibility and gives you
Now
that
that's
versatility.
interesting because that's not the skill set of a Tyler Buckner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyler Buckner's not throwing a bunch of option routes and different things. So what's the conversation like on a Caleb Smith recruitment when it comes to the quarterback situation? Because I'm an ass.
Yeah.
Who throwing me the rock
Yeah.
from Caleb Smith? Who we going with?
Yeah.
So I think that gives a little indication on what they're thinking offensively. If he's going to be running all these intricate routes, because I'm pretty sure Tyler's much more comfortable throwing go routes, slant routes, and hitches. Stuff that he left at Virginia Tech.
Facts, man. So I'm not about to sit here and say that the gap has increased or decreased. I just know that Kirby Smart has done a much better job of building his roster out than everyone else in college football.
That's right.
He just has a bunch of really good players, and then you'll have a Jalen Carter pop
He's
up.
got a
You'll
good
have,
middle,
yeah, yeah,
good
you
middle
have
of the roster.
yeah, good Jordan Davis, and that's what Marcus Freeman said he needed to do at Notre Dame. He said, "I have to build the middle of the roster. The middle of the roster is just as important as the top of the roster." So when you look at that depth chart, you want to be able to look at 1 and 2 and say, look, if one leaves the game, we can still do our thing. We can still execute.
Yeah, Georgia's threes is over there kicking butt. So
Yeah. And that's what we saw this morning. We saw at least 5 Georgia players jump into the portal this morning. At least 5. Why? Those are the guys that can't probably get into that top 2, but they're
it's that
really good.
window. It's that
Yeah.
window of opportunity. I saw some young guys on Georgia's defense,
Yeah.
especially some young freshmen play.
Yeah.
So that window may have passed. You know,
It
every
may
team
have.
and a team like Georgia is very volatile because you're a high running machine.
Yeah.
So you can't have no patches in your oil. Your oil got to be grade A all the time.
Yeah. And you can't be mad at that, right? They jump in. They came off a national championship. It's their time to shine. It's their time to shine, and I respect it. I absolutely respect it. Lucky Lefty podcast. So it's for the Culture Friday. Any questions that you guys have? We apologize. It seems like the chat was disabled for a short time during the Thomas Harper interview, and we apologize for that. We apologize for that.
We apologize.
There we go. So if you have questions about recruiting or anything Notre Dame, um, just Indy Gal said, we like Javontae Jean-Baptiste. Did anyone know this was happening? I don't know.
Well, I figured that because Marcus Freeman has such an Ohio State tie, that pipeline was going to be there somewhere.
Hmm.
And now with the transfer portal being so volatile, I feel like he's making some phone calls over there. He's got some connections, him and James
Yeah,
Laurinaitis,
yeah,
to see and kind of fish out who's not too happy over in that camp.
yeah. There was a kid that jumped in the portal. In other words, I expect Notre Dame to still be aggressive in the portal in that defensive line. I think they grab one more person. If they can get someone on the interior on the defensive line, they're definitely going to take that. But if they have to get another big end, I think they'll be in the market as well. So Notre Dame's going to continue to be very aggressive. Did anyone know what was happening? I mean, if you're part of Notre Dame media and you're doing your job, yeah, we knew it was forthcoming. And then yesterday, you started seeing news of people forecasting him to Notre Dame on certain publications. And of course, we weren't going to say anything until it was official. So, Lucky Lefty Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, CFB Nation, in conjunction with Irish Breakdown. All this great content. Go follow right now. Leave 5 stars. Leave your comments. We greatly appreciate you. It's because of you, LL Nation, that the climb continues on. It's the Lucky Lefty Podcast. We spin it different. Left, what do you think about David Shaw interviewing for the Denver Broncos job?
Well, I think it's an attractive legacy job to go to. I mean, he went to Stanford, and now Denver's not too much different.
I think it's a job. He always is connected to the NFL. It doesn't shock me that people in the NFL feel like, let's give him a shot. He's more of a consultant to an NFL team. To me, I would like to see David Shaw like as a GM in the NFL because he spends so much time covering the draft that it would be perfect, in my opinion.
It's a nice retirement role for him.
Yeah, if he did something like that, that would be perfect. Him coaching in the NFL, I don't know how that's going to go. I just don't. What do you think about this weekend? It's all about the NFL wild card weekend. I think the Cowboys are in trouble, though.
Well, it's hard to bet against Tom Brady, but, Dallas will be Dallas.
They're definitely going to Dallas. Biggest matchup of the week. I'm looking forward to watching Justin Herbert against Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, really good game. My Jags finally back in the playoffs. I'm be repping the Jags all the way to the Super Bowl, baby.
Your Jags, bro? Wait a minute.
You seen the sweatshirt.
Oh, man. Here we go.
I've been a Jags fan for the longest.
So you telling me now you go back to Keenan McCardle and Mark Brunell,
left-handed guru. Mark Brunell was that deal.
So you've been a Jags fan for a long time, huh?
David Gerard, that was me in the past life. David Gerard is me.
David Gerard was a pretty good player for a time being.
And then let's not forget our guy in Tampa, offensive coordinator.
Leftwich, Byron.
Come on now.
When he was there.
That's me in the past life.
You were a little more
Byron
athletic.
Leftwich, David Gerard combo. That's me.
You were a little more athletic than Byron Leftwich, bro. I give you that.
Though. That's my team. So Trevor Lawrence, he'll suffice for right now, but I think we have a good chance of at least winning the first one. Justin Herbert is just like Josh Allen to me, overrated.
Man, do you think they're able to pull that one out? I think the Jaguars win. I think the Jaguars are going to pull it out.
I think we're going to win, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably by 14 or something.
Oh, I don't know about that 14. I don't know about that 14 left. You.
Our defense is pretty solid, though. I can't lie. Defense is pretty solid.
Before we get to the best part of the show, Brian Crawdaddy asks, is Chicago high school football good?
It's hit or miss.
I think I'm kind of insulted by that. I don't think that's just
in comparison. Me. Okay, compared to Midwest football, is it better than Michigan football?
Dude, once again, you're comparing a city to an entire state.
Is it better than Detroit football?
Heck yeah. You go look at the NFL Hall of Fame and find all the Chicago dudes in the Hall of Fame. Are you kidding me?
We're talking about right now.
It's the best pipeline in the history of Notre Dame for a city. Are you kidding me?
Okay, yeah, Notre Dame. Okay, it should be.
As far as Letterman, are you kidding? Is it good?
I'm just asking.
Okay. All right. That's like asking. No, well, I was about to say something. It's not. I was about to say that's like asking if Chicago basketball is good. Then I stopped myself because I said that's totally different.
In comparison to what? New York basketball?
Chicago Chicago basketball has surpassed New York basketball a long time ago. Name the last great player. Name the last great player from New York from a basketball standpoint?
There's some.
Name them.
Well, nowadays basketball is international, so he's got to have some country name or something.
That's a good answer. That would be a great answer for Steve Harvey on Family Feud. Great answer. Great answer. Great answer. Basketball is international now, so
yeah. Look at Doncic just messed it up, man. I'm sorry.
I saw him and Russ acting like they wanted to fight last night, knowing darn well both of them are soft.
You call him Russ soft? You think it's a show?
Soft in the sense of Russ doesn't want to fight, man. No, nobody in the NBA wants to fight.
Isaiah Stewart does.
But yes, I would consider.
What do you think of TNT's new crew with Jamal Crawford?
Oh, on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it, Left. Because, first of all, I'm a huge – wait a minute. Look, man. Look. I'm a huge – the real CP3. Not the non-winning CP3.
Not the non-championship CP3.
No, not the non-championship CP3. No, not him. The real CP3 in basketball.
Candace Parker.
Yes. Yes. And
I just don't like the pantsuits, man. The pantsuits be killing me.
Well,
are you a pantsuits fan?
Not really.
See, okay, so I'm not saying nothing crazy.
Not really. I don't have anything against pantsuits, but that's her style. Left.
Not a fan. That's okay. I can be not a fan of everybody. See, that's the thing we got to get back to used to. It's hard not to be a fan of everything everybody do.
Hey, man, first of all, Candace Parker is not from St. Louis, man. Stop. Come on, man.
Uh-oh.
Come on, man. Let's stop.
So she's false claiming
First of all, Candace Parker claims Chicago. I don't know what Coach Vic.
Okay. I don't know.
I don't know what Coach Vic is talking about. I don't know what he's talking about. She grew up in Naperville. Her brother grew up in Naperville and played in the NBA. I have no clue what he's talking about.
Yeah. We're not about to act like she just.
You know what I'm saying? I have no clue. None.
Well, you know, Michael Jordan was born in New York, but
he's talking about
give him all the Chicago love.
She was born in St. Louis. She ain't from St. Louis, dude. The girl was literally 3 years old when she got to Chicago.
Oh, what you mean? Oh, here we go.
And wait a minute. Do you know how many people I can claim? Wait. Do you know how many people I can claim? If that's the case, it's a bunch of rappers in Atlanta that's from Chicago if we're going to keep it a buck.
Oh, we know Atlanta is a transplant city now, but let's be real honest.
Okay.
The best two basketball players to ever grace the planet
it doesn't even matter to
Ohio.
Us. It doesn't matter to us. Have you ever heard Candace Parker claim St. Louis? Have you tell me when you've heard Candace Parker claim St. Louis? Never. She rides for Chicago
on the interview with
all the time.
That's because she get more love in Chicago. That's all.
She was born.
Appealing to your fans, man. When you got to appeal to your fans, what do you want?
She was born in Chicago. That's fine. Ask KG. Wait a minute. Ask KG who he reps. Ask Kevin Garnett who he reps. Kevin Garnett showed up in Chicago as a 17-year-old prep star. And he still reps Chicago more than he reps South Carolina. Still to this day. Like, look, man. All I'm telling you is Kevin Garnett knows he wouldn't have been the same hooper if he didn't come play in the Red West.
Oh, okay. Now y'all taking credit for his play?
No. He has said on his documentaries and several interviews, Chicago made me the hooper I am. He never meets the great Isaiah Thomas. That tells him you can go straight to the league if he's not in Chicago. Facts. His words.
Is that what it is?
His words.
Oh shoot.
Hey, man.
Gonna leave it at that. And that's that.
You. But still, she's the real CP3. That's my point. She's a real CP3. She's a real CP3. I've never heard them introduce her. Go listen to her being introduced at the University of Tennessee. They never said from St. Louis. They never said that. They never said that.
Never said it.
They never said that. We can ask Coach. We're gonna, you know what? The next time we had Coach Carl Reed on, we're gonna ask.
We should definitely ask you.
I'm gonna say, Coach, did you claim Candace Parker? Knowing Coach, he's probably gonna say yes. Knowing Coach Reed,
we're gonna be like, she gotta be loyal to the soil. Yes, she gotta be loyal to the soil. Yes.
Knowing Coach is gonna end up being a debate. Dude, knowing Coach Reed, I'm gonna text him after the show. I bet you he's like, heck yeah, she's from the Loop.
Yeah, like how you think she got here?
Lucky Lefty podcast, great show. We discussed the transfer of Jean-Baptiste coming to Notre Dame, David Shaw interviewing with the Broncos. We talked about a couple of the games, wild card weekend. We had Thomas Harper, newest addition to the defensive backfield, nickel safety for Notre Dame. As always, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of our great content, CFB Nation in conjunction with Irish Breakdowns, the Lucky Lefty podcast. You already know we spin it different. We also got into the NCAA limiting the second transfer in legislation that may be coming soon, bro. May be coming soon. A second transfer, unless you have a medical situation concerning a parent or that particular player, they might have to sit out a second year. You know what time it is.
Petticoat. Petticoat Junction.
It's time to get petty.
Oh, we did a good job executing.
Are you upset with something?
And fire up the Petticoat Junction train.
I just don't like you.
You don't?
No.
What is today's petty historic? Petty Junction.
Petty Junction, pettiest story of the day, brought to you by Onora Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com, and Premium American Whiskey, OnoraWhiskey.com. Yo, people getting wild in the chat, man. Michael Parks, you need to go look at Google Maps. East St. Louis and Chicago are not even based. No, they're nowhere near each other. You're on mute, bro.
Michael Parks just knows geography. That's all.
Dude, no, they're not the same. They're not the same. No. If you tell somebody from East St. Louis that they're from Chicago, they might do something to you.
They might do something to you.
Yeah, dude. You know, I went to U of I. So you go to U of I, it's a lot of people from Chicago, a lot of people from East St. East St. people do not like being included with Chicago people. They throw a fit.
They said the basketball better in East St. Louis.
That's what they say. And they claim that we're country, which is funny to me. They're from East St. Louis.
Yeah, y'all country folk in Chicago, man.
But we're country in Chicago. So Coach Vic can tell you, ain't no Mike, dude. He agrees. They do not like being connected to Chicago, man, being from East St. They do not like it at all. No, it's serious, bro.
Yeah.
It's serious. It's serious. Like, oh, you tell a dude from East St., like, oh, you basically from Chicago. What? No. You got a problem. You have a serious problem. It's funny that you mentioned that crew, Left, the new crew. I do like the new crew. And this is what happened on their broadcast.
Oh, yeah, Shaq petty, son. Shaq's petty.
Here we go.
A four-time champion, Stephen A. Shaq.
You know, we had plans, but when that hairline walks in, it's something we got to discuss.
Forehead, though.
Oh,
Shout out to
Stephen
my
A.
main man,
shot,
Stephen
though.
A.
Hey, is that crooked?
Bruh.
Keeps it light.
Is the
Is it
line
crooked?
a little crooked?
It looks good.
Hold your head to the left and it's straight. There you go.
Wow.
Oh, it is
Yeah, it's
crooked.
a little bit up to the right.
Oh, man, that's
Bill,
Stephen
Up
A.
to the right.
Bill, I'm gonna kill you when I get home, Bill.
Oh, man.
Yo, Shaq is bogus for that, bro. He's bogus.
See, I'm surprised that he didn't go to Jalen Rose guy. I know Jalen Rose guy be sitting in the cut waiting.
Man, who's better, Jalen Rose's barber or Marcus Freeman's barber? That's a good poll question.
Jalen Rose barber just be having him looking too, and he used a spray. Marcus Freeman don't be using the spray. Jalen Rose is that spray.
Facts.
Jalen Rose be looking like geometry, just
Not geometry.
yeah, crisp, precise angles.
Man, like his barber is a what's that movie with
as a math teacher? He ain't even a barber. He a math teacher.
man. That Russell Crowe, call his barber Russell Crowe because he has a beautiful mind. The cat just sees like hair cutting totally different than everybody else. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for a great show, man. We appreciate you. We'll be back next week for more great content. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend. But most of all, you got to make sure that you spin it different. We'll holler.